Righto, well, welcome to the show. Thanks for watching, viewers. As always, before we get into it, go ahead, like, share, subscribe. But today you can see there's a different person sitting across from me via Zoom. I have probably Value Taman's favourite son, I would say. He's an angry patriot. As you can see on his T-shirt, he's a passionate conservative actor, comedian. What else? He's the host of the Unusual Suspects show, which is awesome, and he's also a major player on the home team guys with the Patrick Bet David podcast. Vinnie, Vincent Oshana, thanks for being with us. Before we get into it, yes. I've just woken up and seen Tulsi Gabbard confirmed. We're going to go through that. We're going to through all the Trump winning in the last 3 weeks, the USAID findings, the Trump tariffs in Australia, the tactics he's doing. I just want to know from you. I've been watching you for a couple of years now. I want to know. How are you feeling after, because you and I both were scared a little bit. It was like, man, we've got to keep this guy alive. Mm-hmm. I don't trust the swamp. I don't trust anything that's going on. I was freaking leading up to inauguration. Yep. How are you feeling now that we're here and it feels like things are changing?
Oh, Brodie, first of all, I just want to say thank you so much for having me on the pod. And man, it's ecstatic isn't the right word. It's like everybody feel the sentiment in the United States is humanity was saved, and I'm being dead serious. And Elon called it, humanity was on the ballot. Look, you saw with this past 4 years that they were trying to do. It's not just affecting us; it was affecting the world. Open borders, healthcare, LGBTQ, all this push, the inflation, everything. They were literally trying to destroy us. All right, Brodie? And I genuinely, I say this all the time. It wasn't a battle between this guy and this girl. And it was good and evil. And I tell people to always take a step back. I'm a Christian and I go to church. I read the Bible. Not perfect, but I'm trying to walk in the path. It was a different type of battle. And I think and you've seen this in the past 3 weeks, Brodie. Look at what this man has done in 3 weeks. In 3 weeks, compared to any president Incredible. That did anything in the first 100 days, Brodie. It's night and day. The feeling in America is hopeful. And Brodie, the people that were, I don't want to say left because you can't stop. You're not changing the Trump derangement syndrome brainwashed people, Brodie. They're gone. If you have family members like that, I'm sorry, that ship has sailed. But the people that were here, Brodie, they're starting to wake up. They're like, wait a minute. This is what he was talking about. Because you have to understand, Brodie, for 9 years, this guy has been saying the same stuff. He's been preaching the same word. No wonder why. Bro, look at everything we're going to get into it. Everything that he's exposing, now it makes complete sense to them why they were trying to kill him, why they shot his ass in the head. Because the last president, Brodie, when you mess with people's money, and I'm not talking about $100, $200, $1,000, $1 million, billions of dollars. You're trying to expose these people, just like JFK did with he didn't want to go to war with Vietnam. That's going up against the military-industrial complex. They shot him in his head. They were trying to do the same thing with Trump, and I think it's a great day, and he called it, Brodie. It's a golden age of America, and I'm freaking stoked.
Yeah, it's been an amazing time watching it. I mean, even from Australia across the river, like we are nowhere near you guys, but we always seem to follow the trends. And obviously, we know the world is globally connected through these parasite elites and globalists who all they want is more power, more control. You'll own nothing. You'll be happy. It's never ending. And I feel right now, we said it the other day on one of the shows, we're only a couple of weeks into it, but now we're like, man, we don't want to put it out there, but the next election is actually more important. Because if we don't, at the moment, there's been this wave of evil, right, coming against us from COVID to all the statements that Bill Gates has been saying in our face over the years, right? Just saying it, we need to control population. We can do a good job of that with vaccines, right, out in the open. And people are like, no, he didn't say that. General rule, when they say it, believe him. Yes. Right? He said what he's going to do. And even right now, with all the things that Trump said he was going to do, he's doing it. An amazing first 3 weeks, just from reinstating, sends the military to the border, stops catch and release, reinstates remain in Mexico. Tariffs. My favorite was when the Colombian president tried to not allow the plane to land, and then 24 hours later, you can actually use my plane. I love that.
I'll send it to you. I'll send it. Brodie, down to simple things that regular people want, like plastic straws. What? Like Paper straws are gone. Like, they were even worse. The toxins in those things, because somebody, and it was a fake, somebody posted the picture of a sea turtle with a straw in his nose, which nobody even tested if that thing was even plastic. So it's every single thing, Brodie, but you feel the left, the opposition, the Democrats, whatever the hell you want to call them, Brodie, you feel them, the pain that's happening right now. They can't believe it. That's the swamp. And because I say this all the time, Brodie, when you drain the swamp, do you think the alligators and the snakes and the anacondas, you think they go quietly? You think they go, oh, the water's gone? No. They're going to fight, they're going to bite, and they're going to try to kill you. And that's a perfect example with Trump.
Let's get into that. I woke up to see that Tulsi Gabbard was confirmed. Who's the one GOP person who said no?
Mitch McConnell. That, and by the way, did you see him today? Wheelchair, can't move. By the way, and I'm not making fun, Brodie, of the physical ailments.
Shouldn't be.
But
there.
he's in his 80s. He's done. I think Trump's behind the wheel right now. These term limits for these guys, you see, when you watch these, judicial hearings or Congress, when they're voting, and you see these old, decrepit Chuck Grassley, and bro, I wouldn't let that guy, and I'm being genuine, drive my car.
Of course not.
Let alone make decisions, brother, that are going to freaking affect my life. The guy's an ancient dinosaur. But Mitch McConnell, and that's why I love that you brought him up, Brodie. I don't care, left, right. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I'm right in the middle. I want the best decision for my life, for America, for veterans, for the youth. I don't give a damn. But these old people, yeah, what's he voting against, Brodie? What are you voting against? What are you scared of?
Yeah.
What are you scared of? She's a veteran. And you see how they bash her. You see how they bash Pete Hegseth. You see how they're just trying to destroy RFK. It's like, bro, RFK's father and uncle were murdered in the same system that he's trying to get a job in. Can you imagine that?
It's out of control. And it's what I want to ask, and I can't remember who I sat with. No, you know where I saw it? I saw it on Tucker Carlson with Elon. And Tucker said this statement, and this is in line with, with Fauci being pardoned, and then you've got RFK, who we want to bring in. You've got Tulsi Gabbard now, who's being confirmed. Patel, who's going to tear the lid off stuff, right, in the FBI when he's we can't wait, right? But Tucker made this statement. He's like, and this is how I feel, and I reckon it's how you feel, is we've got to a point where we all know too much. Like, we all know too much. Like, what's next? Are we actually going to see things uncovered? And I feel like we are. I feel like, people like, you're in Australia, why do you care? Because have you seen our country? Have you seen the path that we're following? We're following the WEF, the WHO, the globalist elite. We're on a dark path, and we've got a beautiful country. We are resource rich. We could be self-sustained for thousands of years, yet we sell stuff cheap. We buy it back more expensive. If you knew the prices of electricity here, you would blow your mind. Like, there's
what's a monthly electricity bill?
I pay $2,200 a quarter for electricity. I pay what some people over there would pay for medical insurance, which is expensive for you guys, right? So
holy moly,
it's out of control. So do you feel like, I actually think we're going to see some change and the year of exposure continues, or is there a risk that no matter what, these people they just don't give up? Mitch McConnell, or do you reckon they've showed their cards and it's over?
I don't think, and great question, Brodie. I don't think they're going to stop. Okay, that swamp, that deep state establishment still has its tentacles. If you've been following Tom Homan, the border czar, the actual border czar, not the Kamala fake ass border czar, they're doing all these raids. They're going after Tren de Agua, which is a hardcore Venezuelan cartel-like. Bro, these people are. Yeah. I know a guy here that's married to a Venezuelan girl, and she sat me down one day. She's like, Vinny, when you guys are saying gang, I don't think you understand. They'll chop your head off. It's like they're domestic terrorists.
They're like African rebels, the level they're at. Yeah.
No, by the way, when you have no soul, when you haven't been raised the right way, bro, there's no killing to you is like cutting somebody off on the freeway. Yeah. But this is how deep the corruption and the evil goes. People inside the FBI are tipping off the gangsters in Colorado, the Tren de Agua guy, that these raids are coming. That's treason, bro. This is the same FBI from Russia collusion to Twitter going to FBI going to Twitter and suppressing stories, and they're entrenched. Their tentacles are everywhere. But I think this mandate, this movement, Brodie, that Trump is doing, it's literally breaking the seams of this corruption. Where I honestly, they're gonna try, Brodie, but I think the movement right now has broken through the ceiling. I don't think we could ever go back. We're not gonna buy another pandemic. We're not gonna buy any of that BS. Even if a big major terrorist attack happens, which Brodie, they know everything.
Yeah.
Let me explain something to you. They need something like there's no other way to control us, because I've always said this: the fear with the pandemic, which they all warned us for, Fauci, Bill Gates, all these freaking demons, 9/11, all that stuff. They knew all about that. October 7th, they knew in a year in advance. They know all this type of stuff. How are they going to control it? Because you nailed it. We know too much. Information is too readily available. Everything is at our fingertips. X is bought by, thank God, Elon, where we get to see everything. If it wasn't for X, me and you wouldn't even be having this conversation because the information wouldn't be available. But
we've had that,
I think now thank God he spent that money. I think they've gone. The Pandora's box has been opened, Brodie. It would take. We're not going to buy it. We're not going to buy it. And even if, like I said, something big and something crazy happens, because how do you control the masses? We have to pump fear. They need to re-scare the shit out of us, Brodie. That's the one thing. The only thing I worry about is what extent are they going to do to get that control back? Because they'll do anything. A nuclear, one of those small tactical nukes that they said that the USSR, that they said got smuggled in, because anything that's going to happen here, Brodie, it's already been set in place for sure, 100%.
I agree. Well, I guess I'll ask you this question. If someone wants to cause terror, what's the one thing they need, right? They need money. They need money. And right now, Trump being a business guy, he understands that very simple logic: stop the flow of money and the risk of everything. At least we're just cutting the feed off them. Like, we're stopping them for a second from making progress. So let's look a little bit on this USAID exposure. I don't know why this isn't everywhere. It just goes to show the mainstream media still. But I don't know how people aren't looking at this. Let's just run through a couple and I'll let you go.
Please.
Like Chelsea Clinton.
Please.
$84 million to Chelsea Clinton. Kevin Rudd in Australia, it's showing him as receiving. So he's our ambassador now for you guys in America, but he was our prime minister a couple of years ago. He showing his officer for receiving, I think it was $800,000 or $925,000. He just denies it, right? So he just goes, "Oh no, we didn't get it." So Chelsea Clinton, $84 million. Obviously, she's going to lash out and say, "I didn't do it." Defending Democracy Together institution. That sounds like a let's shut down Trump, everyone put money here kind of constitution. And Trump has just fired the Inspector General, I think his name was Paul Martin, of the USAID. He stopped the flow of money, which it looks like these people, George Soros, $260 million, that was flowing to him. And then he was flowing that back to putting pallets of bricks in your streets where people were throwing and smashing down through all the pandemic and the BLM movements. He's taken the money now. So I feel like we've hamstrung them. But how do you feel knowing that he's going after the money? Surely that's got to do something to stop what these people are up to.
Oh, I mean, Brodie, we've always known that the corruption was there. I forgot who it was. I forgot which congressman, Brodie, but he picked up like these little bushels, these little metals in a bag that I think, they can hang up certain things in an office. It costs like, I think $100 or $200. I might be off of the number. $90,000. Yeah. Okay, we've always known, Brodie. We've always talked about it, and in America, it bothers me because we always say the term, our tax dollars. No. People should start saying my money. It's enough of this. The American tax. No, it's us personally. When your money is going for, I know, and there's a couple of them. Sex change operations. These aren't fake. Sex change operations in Guatemala, transgender plays in Ireland. And there was, Brodie, there was a misconception. I guess there was false reporting that they said that they sent $50 million for condoms in Gaza or Al-Qaeda, whatever it was. And then they corrected it. They're like, no, it was going to Africa to stop them from getting HIV. I don't want it going anywhere. I don't give a shit. And I'm sorry to be so blunt, Brodie. I don't give two shits about anybody, as long as, and I'm a United States Air Force veteran, my brothers and sisters, Brodie, are on the streets of this country starving, lost, mental problems. They get no treatment. I can't even explain to you, Brodie, when I go to a VA, a United States military hospital, the level of service and the quality of life, Brodie, you would get depressed. I walk in there and I get depressed for these people, and I have to go there because that's technically my healthcare. But I think the amount of spending, Brodie, and the anger of politicians and even Democrats, like Brodie, if somebody robbed your house, okay, and I knew somebody was robbing you like for years, Brodie, you kept coming home and you're like, dude, where the hell's my phone? Where's this? Would you get mad at me for telling you about the robber, or would you get what? I don't understand. They're pissed off at the person telling you. They're mad at me for telling you. You get mad, Vinnie. Why would you tell me that? You're losing, Brodie. It doesn't make any sense. And I think, listen, Elon Musk, we got so lucky that for a smart guy who was on their side, Brodie. Thank you, Brodie. He was on their side. Like, and mind you, I don't know everything. I don't trust him 100%. It almost, Brodie, seems too good to be true. Who spends $46 billion to buy Twitter to give us our voice? Who gives Trump, if he didn't help, Trump would have been in bad shape. I know it was a landslide, but that last 3 months, that push, that injection of money and support, and I mean, they lost everybody. They lost Rogan. They lost Sachs. They lost big names. They lost Zuckerberg, for God's sake, which is, I think he has other motives. But Brodie, this guy and what he's doing, I don't care who's telling me about the robbing of the bank. I want to know. I don't give a shit if it was a child, if it was a dog that could talk. He's exposing it. Their wallets are really going to start hurting, Brodie. So this is where the game is going to get difficult. This is where it gets tricky, because now they're going to go after Elon. Now they're doing that game of putting Elon in the White House behind the chair, saying who is the real president, which Patrick Bet-David has been saying it for months now. That's the tactic they're going to use. But I think it's Brodie. He's going to trim $1 trillion. I see it. I see it coming. 100% it's coming.
$4 billion a day or something they've got to achieve to get there. It's incredible. But I guess what people have you ever heard the saying, it's easier to fool someone than to convince them they've been fooled? You ever heard that?
Yes. Yes.
How friggin' true is that? I see this right I would say 18 months ago, right, with you and Adam. And I would see Pat just like, come on, Adam. Like, come on. Like before he kind of got over the line. But I'm surrounded by people. I asked someone the other day, we're having a conversation and we're going back and forward. And like the Socrates method, ask enough questions. If you stand in truth, if you ask enough questions to someone, when you know they're not on the side of truth, 3 questions in, you're going to both realize that they know nothing. And so I'm going back and forth with this person around RFK. They're trying to tell me that, he's a cooker and all. They've just been fed some of our mainstream media here, and they're like, come on, surely you think he's a cooker. And I'm like, no, I don't. I follow what I actually want to eat healthy. I'm a carnivore, right? So I made the change a couple of years ago. I've been doing it ever since. I lost my dad early from esophagus cancer, and I realized
God rest his soul.
I don't want to do that. I don't want to die young. So I'm like, I'm going to live to 100. Carnivore's the way I'm going about it. I'm not a health practitioner, but that's what I do. It's working for me, right? But these people, all they know is what the mainstream media tells them right now. RFK is bad, but I just guess it gets to a point where it's like, at what point are you guys going to just stop for a second and go, maybe that spending, when Trump first got in office, Obama had brokered this deal, right, to build a couple of, I think it was the Air Force Ones, to redo them. Let's say the number was $6 billion, whatever it was. And then Trump said, feel like we can do it for $3 billion. Those aren't the right numbers, but basically said, no, this is a terrible deal. But the buddies over at Boeing or whoever was making them, they want that extra $3 billion, right? And this is what's happening with USAID money. People are just saying, here's a piece of paper, sign off on it. It's going to $100 million of condoms in Africa. It would be cheaper to send Bibles, side note, than $100 million of condoms, right? But what we're going to do is we're going to send the money. It's not going to them. It's just going right back to, it's absolutely insane.
It's money laundering, just like with Ukraine and all the America supporting and wearing the pins. We give them all the money, and then the defense contractors, they're all American. So it's a money laundering scheme. And I think this is the problem too, Brodie, with what's happening and why so many people are shocked, are like, oh my God, it's what he's disrupting the system. It's almost as if the United States has had a dislocated shoulder for the past God knows how many years, but it's really been bad this past 4 years. Trump is the doctor that came in, Brodie, and set it back. And when I dislocated my shoulder, it's going to hurt. Yeah. It's going to be painful. Inflation is going up a little bit because of all the it's going to, but guess what? After time, your shoulder is going to get back to normal. They're not used to this, Brodie, because America in general, generally speaking, has, what's that? Stockholm syndrome. They've fallen in love with their abuser. They felt like, who else in their right mind would be sticking up for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and Barack Obama? They're the worst of the worst, Brodie. And it's like, show me something that they've done good. Tell me. Nothing that they've done has worked, Brodie. Zero. I ask people, I have liberal freaking cousins that I get into arguments all the time. I go, what has he done? What have they done for you? Okay. What? And they go, oh, infrastructure. I go, I don't give a shit about potholes. Everybody else is seeing it except you guys. And that's just that blind loyalty to party, Brodie. And that's why I hate left and right BS. I hate it.
It's so polarizing, but it's funny, the people who think they're critical thinkers on the left, it's like the last thing you've done is think critically. You've just watched a news show that is funded by Big Pharma with you guys, and we still get we get the clips through social media. So right now in Australia, you can't be Big Pharma and fund, TV. You're not allowed to do that. You guys in New Zealand are the only. Trump needs to wrap that up. I'm sure that's on his agenda. He needs to stop that up because that is a deep-seated root in part of you pull that, all of a sudden, the people who want to. Look at Piers Morgan, right? I've watched Piers Morgan for a while, and I actually have seen him change. There's been something, right? There's a change right there. There's quite a lot of people that have changed over time. They feel more comfortable to change, but that needs to be stopped. Let's move a little bit to the Trump tariffs, right? Just quickly, because I know you've got to go soon, and so do I. The Trump tariffs.
No, it's all good, Brodie. Go ahead.
The Trump tariffs, right? So one thing, say for Australia, us here, we've seen there's going to be a 25% tariff on steel and aluminium, right? Now, Australia actually has a trade surplus, so we buy more than you guys buy from us, which is a good thing, right? But our Prime Minister and our opposition leader are actually bipartisan here. They're basically like, the tariffs need to be dropped. I'll give you my take on it, and I wonder if it aligns with what you think. No one's really said this here, but I believe that, same as Tom with you guys, his tariffs are normally leveraged. He said it himself, we're the pot of gold right now. Tariffs are my leverage. And I think in the case of Australia, I think the tariffs will be gone. I think the deal to be made behind closed doors is I actually think he wants Australia to leave And I think he wants us to leave the Paris Agreement. What do you think do you know anything that I might not understand or know that how Trump's position on those organisations? I know he's left two. I know, forget the Paris Agreement. Australia, our opposition leader who's hoping to run as a populist, we've got an election in about 3 months, who wants to run off the back of Trump ideas, is still saying, though, no, we're committed to net zero by X, blah, blah, blah. But I believe that Trump's going to say, tariffs will be gone, friggin' get away from the WHO, forget the Paris Agreement. What do you reckon?
To be honest with you, today was the first day that I'm hearing it from you, Brodie. But what a good angle, because everybody else, Canada, it's the border. We always hear about Mexico. Their border, they just let everybody into our country that's trying to destroy it. Same with freaking Mexico. So I see where you slap on the 25% tariffs, and then look at how quick everybody adjusted. I never even thought that we were. I know we had tariffs. Do you know what they were before the 25%?
We didn't have it.
We didn't have it. So he slapped them on, and I very, very good angle. I do believe that it probably is the WHO. I mean, the Paris Accords I get, but with the WHO, because we just, like you said, we withdrew from them. And I think he wants everybody that he's doing business with and everybody that he's in alliance with to all be on the same page, Brodie, because what they did with you guys with freaking, by the way, unelected group running the decision. If the WHO wants to right now declare another pandemic, Brodie, they could do it. Yeah. Thank God that we got away from it. And I just feel bad because you guys are out there, you know what I mean? And I'm not saying I ever want you guys to be violent, but us, thank God. I know we have had a crazy history, but you know why they don't play that crazy stuff with us?
Second
we
Amendment.
have guns here. We have freaking guns, bro. We have the First Amendment. We could talk all this shit we want. And the second one is there to protect the first one. You know what I mean? But I think that's a great freaking point. Brodie, I don't think it's going to last. I think he just wants people, and that's how he uses it, bro. He said one of his favorite words, he said it on the PBD podcast, was tariffs. It's my favorite word. I love that word because he's not going to go to war. He's not going to start fighting people. He just goes, okay, like Brodie, he has to do this to let people know that he's not messing around. Because Biden was, by the way, and I hate to even say Biden, he wasn't running the show. If we're going to be honest, it was probably Obama, Anthony Blinken, Tony Blinken, and Obama. Oh, it was those two. But I do think that's a really good angle, Brodie, and I think it's like once, and I hope, because you said the guy's a populist, I hope he falls in line, brother, and just realizes.
He wants to be,
Well, he wants to be. Well, somebody needs to get in his ear and tell him, bro, the WHO, the World Health Organization is a corrupt-ass spot with Tedros, whatever the hell his name is, behind the wheel. Do you trust these people? Like, when you see them, Brodie, I know everybody wants factual. When you look at these people, when you look at Tedros, do you trust them? Like, when I look at Bill Gates, there's something about the guy I don't trust. When I looked at Fauci, that little rat, I never trusted him. It's called intuition. It's called the gut feeling. Okay, I've been wrong about stuff in my past, but people like Bill Gates, if you talk to his wife, Melinda Gates, anybody that's watching this, go to X, go to YouTube, probably not on YouTube, and put Melinda Gates, Epstein, divorce. You know what she said? One of the main reasons she divorced him was his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, and nobody stopped and went, "What do you mean? What does that entail? You left this guy that you've been with for God knows how many years because he had a relationship with a pedophile after the fact." And she said when she saw Jeffrey Epstein, bro, she said verbatim, "I felt evil personified."
Yeah, wow.
She goes, "He was abhorrent," and she goes, "I've never felt like that with anybody," and it was instant. So that's the type of person that's the leader of the WHO, Jeffrey, Bill Gates, and all these people. To me, they're all cut from the same cloth.
I agree. And so now with we're waiting for this confirmation of Patel and to lead up the FBI. What do you think we're going to see? He's saying day one, Epstein files released. You must be just going, Lord, you must be just, I can't wait. I'll tell you what I'll be doing. The first thing I'll be doing is tuning into the PBD podcast to see your vein pop, to see you just go, because I believe it's going to be a glorious day. When we see that list, there's going to be a few familiar names on there.
Oh, Brodie, I think a couple of things, because who was the congresswoman, the really beautiful one, this Latin one? She just came out yesterday and she said, RFK is going to be getting released, the files.
Yep.
Oh my God, Luna.
Yeah.
She just came out. She did a list, and Brodie knows she said in the regard, and I'll go to the Epstein list because that's the most important one to me.
Yep.
Is the JFK files? You know what she said? She goes, from what I've seen, this is her in Congress. She goes, there was more than one shooter. Brodie, we've known this. We've been saying this. There is no way that freaking Oswald was there. And mind you, bro, I'm a marksman. I'm a marksman expert in the rifle and the handgun. I'm telling you, there's been no. Think about this. In United States government, Congress, when they did the Warren report, all the Warren, the commission, all that shit, they proved in a court of law something called the magic bullet theory. And I don't know if you guys know this in Australia. Magic is make believe. It's fake.
Yeah.
So that's one side. So I can't wait for that to come up. But the most excited I am is the Epstein list. He said it. And we just had Glenn Beck on the podcast, and he said, because he's the insider information, because he knows cash like this, he said day one. And it looks like, I guess, Polymarket is saying, Brodie, that he's 90% that he's going to be confirmed. But I think it's this. The list is one thing, Brodie, because like RFK was on one of Epstein's planes. He was flying. He didn't fly to the island, but he was there. I think with the list, once that comes out, Brodie, and the tapes, the actual footage of what he had. Brodie, he had a room that was 3 times bigger than the room that I'm in, and I'm in a big room right now with cameras everywhere. Because at the end of the day, Brodie, we need to find out who was behind it, who was funding it, who was protecting him. If it was our government in cahoots with Mossad, because if you think about it, Brodie, imagine me and you're a leader of a country, and I'm a pretty high up bigwig in Washington, either congressman or whatever.
Yep.
We go there, Bill Clinton, whoever. You party, you leave, you did some effed up nefarious things. And then, Brodie, you're home, you're hanging out with your family, you get an email, and the email says, hey, Brodie, open up this file. You open it, Brodie. It's you at the party. You had no idea, and you're with the underage girl that you didn't know, but they tell you, by the way, she was 16. She wasn't 21 like she told you. They have you for the rest of your life, Brodie. And I think that there's going to be people committing suicide. There's going to be higher up people that know what they've done. And if that comes out, the list is one thing, Brodie, and exposing who flew to the island. But if he can get, and I know he could, but he's the director of the FBI, the tapes showing what these people were doing, it'll blow the lid off of everything, and it'll guarantee jail time and transparency. The victims need vindication. They need it because they've been screaming at the top of their lungs. Nobody believes them.
And there's going to be some really big names. That's the part is like, we're taking jail time, yeah, but the jail time, we're talking about people who are the biggest players in the world. Whether you've heard of them or not, they might be attached to some of the biggest, Vanguard, BlackRock, whatever, who might be in there, right?
Yeah.
They're attached to some of the biggest organizations in the world. They lead Prince Andrew, the Clintons, right? I mean, you could do a whole pod just on the Clintons, right? But it's
Brodie, we can keep going for a little bit more. And by the way, and you mentioned Bill Clinton, the photo. He was there the most times ever.
How's the
Epstein
painting?
visited.
How's it? Just stop. You say it. How's the painting of Bill Clinton? And Bill Clinton allows it, right? Why is he allowing it?
Allows it, and yeah, ready for this? Because I think that painting, and the painting you're talking about is him in a dress pointing at the viewer of the painting, and that was in his Manhattan home when you walked into the home. And I think that was basically a message to let everybody know, and even Bill, when you come in here, I got you. Brodie, once they have footage of you, brother, you can't even sleep at night because no matter how much you give, no matter how much you do, they own your ass, Brodie. Because all they do is one button click, that thing gets sent out to 5,000 people. They all share it on X. Your life is ruined, Brodie. It's ruined. And I don't know if you know this. There was another painting. Did you see the other painting that he had in the house?
What's the other one?
It's George Bush Jr. sitting Indian style in the White House with two Jenga buildings fallen, and he has a paper airplane in his hand.
Yeah.
What is that insinuating? What are you talking about? But you nailed it, Brodie. Who knows who's on there? Producers, Hollywood, actors, presidents, women, children. Who knows what the hell is going to happen? But Brodie, we were promised this, and I'm getting the results, and I'm getting the promises that are being made. I want all of them. Because we ourselves, Brodie, I've been to bat with this guy for 9 years. I've supported him throughout the entire thing. I got punched in my head because I was wearing a red hat, which I see behind you. I was wearing a red hat in LA that didn't say Make America Great Again. It was just a red hat, a Yankee hat, and I got hit in the back of the head. So I've been there, ride or die from the beginning. I want everything that was promised to me.
This is going to be a great note to transition before we wrap up, but I wanted to give you an opportunity because I always see you in, obviously, with the two shows that you're the Usual Suspects and the PBD podcast, and then you're always like a talking head with Piers Morgan. You're always in, out, but I actually really wanted to have these last closing moments. Tell me a little bit about your journey. I know you're a veteran, but just tell me as we close a little bit about how you got to this point to be a passionate conservative, a common sense, a justice seeker, your journey to faith. That's ultimately, you've gone from where you were to being a leader. You're a leader now, and you're leading by example. I just love to give you a few moments to tell a little bit about your story, or at least the parts that you think are important for our viewers.
Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity, Brodie. I appreciate it. So, I grew up in Yonkers, New York, immigrant parents. Mom and dad are from Iran. We're 100% Assyrian. I know there's a bunch of Assyrians in Australia. I came to do a show years ago. One of the best experiences of my life. I freaking love Australia. And hardcore, middle class family. My father, worked his butt off. My mom worked as well. He drank a lot, smoked a lot, and he passed away. Like I said, God rest your father's soul. My dad had lung cancer, brain cancer, bone cancer at 52 years old. It ate him alive. It was the fastest death. I was 19 years old when he passed. So really difficult. I was in the military. Me and my brother, my sister joined. Brodie, never political, never really cared. Just wanted to serve the country, serve the nation. 9/11 happened. Everything switched. something clicked in my brain, Brody, because I'm serving, I'm seeing this moment of like, wow, we were attacked, terrorists, over 3,000 Americans dead. I was crying, especially when Bush Jr. went up and did that speech on that battleship, on that, it was a moment. And then I slowly started realizing, Brody, wait a minute, there are no weapons of mass destruction. Wait a minute, we've already been bombing and killing. Wait, what? We went for the gusto, and now you guys are backtracking, and now you're changing the name of the war to enduring freedom. Wait, what? So the taste got really bad in my mouth, Brody. My cousin Michael was like, Vinny, get out. Your dream is to do comedy. You're not going to stay in for the rest of your life. You're already talking like how I'm talking now. So I got out, went to Hollywood, started, chasing my dream, ups and downs. But, as it being in my blood, Brody, addictive personality, was drinking, I was partying, I was just off the freaking path. I close call with death. I lost two friends of mine right before I moved to Florida to work with Patrick, Brody. Two of my friends that I was supposed to be with that night. Something, and this is where I say God, Brody. When it comes to divine intervention, with God moving Trump's head, which I totally believe. Yeah. That's my Vincent Oshana's feeling. Evil had a plan, Brody, but nobody, not you, not me, not the shooter, not the government, not the deep state, nobody interrupts his plan. You could have yours. Exactly. God did that, and then something that night, Brody, I was supposed to go perform and then go hang out with them because one of the girls I was dating, and something told me, Brody, don't go tonight. Don't leave this house. And it was totally unlike me, Brody. I called them, and the comedy club owner, it was sold out for people to see me. I was like, I don't feel good. I'm not going to come. She lost her mind. She bade me for 6 months. And then I get a phone call that night, 4 o'clock in the morning. Hey, Vinny, just giving you a heads up. Both of your friends and one of their girlfriends were at this party with this girl. They both did a bump of cocaine and died of fentanyl poisoning. And this is when fentanyl was just hitting here. So, Brody, craziness. I found Pat on Instagram, brother. I was in my car depressed. Instagram, I see Patrick's face. He looked like my dad. I clicked on it. He calls me. Half an hour conversation. And then within 6 months, Brody, airplane here. I was still drinking, still acting like an idiot. And then I don't want to say this, Brody, because I'm almost 2 years sober, May 31st. I stopped using, and I tell people this. I don't want to say that I found God, Brody, because I don't think people find God. Because I tell them, Brody, God is standing next to you all the time, okay?
Yeah.
And I tell them, you just have to look. You just have to stop and go, he's right there, and accept it. In that moment, Brody, I was at church, and some guy, I was going through it. Some guy just goes up to me that worked at the company. He's not here anymore. And he goes, Vinny, you're going to church with me on Sunday. And I was like, okay. Remember, I'm a Christian, no church, no nothing. I'm in the back of the church, and there's a part of this church, it's a non-denominational church, where the pastor goes, okay, guys, this is the part, the altar call, where if anybody hasn't accepted Jesus, if you're really ready to make this change in your life, and really, because once you go there, Brody, once you say, I accept it, I'm all in, there's no turning back, because now you know the light, you've already made the decision. And Brody, as the pastor saying this, I swear to you, something starts pushing. The guy's not touching me. I felt the Spirit bring me to the front. I'm getting emotional, and out of nowhere, I didn't know he was there. Patrick is standing on the side, and he's recording me, and he's like, yeah, like so happy, so ecstatic. Amazing. And I got there, and that switch, Brody, that change, and just surrendering and knowing, Brody. And I'm supposed to respect everybody's religions, and I do. And listen, do whatever you want to do. My goal in life is to let people know, Brody, that searching for the kingdom and having Jesus Christ in your life, and knowing, Brody, it's undeniable. Jesus Christ was here. They all wrote about him. Every single one of them, Muslims, Jews, everybody. He died the worst horrible death for us. And he healed, and he died and came back. No Buddha, no Muhammad, nobody died and came back. That's the truth, and that's the way. And where I am, Brody, 1,000%, I owe it all to God and making the decision, Brodie, to go towards him and walk the path. And there's a misconception, Brodie. I'm sorry that I'm rambling.
This is amazing.
I try to walk in the footsteps of Jesus Christ doesn't mean that I am ever going to actually step in his footsteps, but I'm trying to. And the more you try to, like Brodie, just sleeping with random girls, drinking, drugs, decisions, lustful mind. I wake up every morning so freaking happy. I pray immediately. I get on my knees and I thank God, and I'm grateful for every single day, every moment. I pray for you, Brodie. This is the first time we're seeing each other. I pray for you. I give a prayer for the world. I say, whoever's suffering, whoever needs you, let them find you. Let them get closer, because I'm telling you right now, Brodie, there's only one way, and that's the way. And no matter what, even when I stumble and I go down here, Brodie, and I'm depressed and I'm sad, and we all go through it.
Yeah.
We all go through it. The pastor on Sunday said, he's like, oh, the people that are going through it right now, and a couple people, and he goes, whose life is going okay right now? I raise my hand. He goes, it's not going to be like that forever.
Yeah.
You're going to have the downs, Brodie. You're going to fall off the horse. Some people that are alcoholics, they're going to go back. You're going to lose people, but don't lose the faith in God, and don't think that he's doing it because he hates you, or it's just these things happen, but you can't lose the vision and you can't lose the faith of what God, and he sends his son to die so that me and you can actually one day go to paradise and be with him in heaven. It's the greatest decision I've made in my life.
That's an amazing way for us to wrap up. I feel like we started with the noise of the world, but we've actually landed on the truth, which is that's actually made me a little bit rattled. Thank you, Mike, for sharing.
You think I wanted? And this is the thing, Brodie. My emotions, they were numb. They were numb with alcohol. Yeah. They were numb with drugs. I was such a zombie, Brodie. And I apologize, because when I get emotional, especially when we're on a podcast, I don't want people sitting there freaking crying.
No, but it's real. It's real, you know.
And I haven't, and Brodie, because I haven't cried. I didn't cry when my dad passed away. I didn't cry. Yeah. These are now emotions, Brodie, where now I'm like, oh my God. And not just emotional crying, Brodie. I'll be driving in my car and I'll just get a rush of goosebumps. And I'm like, oh my God.
It's
I'm
the
just
love of God. Yeah.
Happy. I go, is that what it feels like? Oh my goodness, Brodie. It's such a change. And I tell people, whoever's listened to this, it's never too late. It's never too late. Even, so again, remember when Jesus was on the cross, and there was two thieves, and one of them was like, "Hey, buddy, suffering just like all of them. You're the Messiah. Why don't you get yourself off? Get us off here. What are you going through for?" And the other thief was like, "How dare you? He didn't do anything. We're thieves. We deserve this. Don't say this." And then he looks at Jesus and he apologizes in the last moment, and Jesus says, "You're going to be with me in heaven today." If that doesn't show you that if you're true in here, if you're true and you're sorry and you're willing to give in and ask for forgiveness, you're golden. So I tell people that don't lose freaking faith. It's never too late. And it's the best decision you're ever going to make in your life.
It's a beautiful message, Vinnie. Thanks for sharing. Amazing to hear it. And, man, it's probably the most unconventional way to end a secular podcast, but I would love to pray just quickly for you and let you go, because I think you're amazing. I think you've got a platform and you got the right voice, and God's going to use you, and all the things that you know are in your heart, He's going to give those desires, and he's going to activate them. Whether it's wife, children, all these things, you're going to make an incredible father one day. I know that for you.
Thank you.
And I'm blessed to be able to do this podcast with you. So Lord, we just thank you for Vinnie. I thank you that you love him. You've always known him. In all those moments he's had where he might have felt distant, you were right there with him. He didn't find you. You didn't find him. You guys have been together. You knew him in his mother's womb. And I just pray on this podcast, on this political, secular podcast, that your truth would be the only truth that's ever heard and known, and that all the opportunities that Vinnie gets to speak in different environments, that the undertone that everything he says is wrapped in who you are and your word. Thank you. Bless him, Lord, and fill him more and more with your spirit. And we just pray that this podcast would be used for your will, not my ego, not Vinny's ego, not my pride, not his pride, but for your will, and it would reach many people. Amen. Bless you, Vinny.
Amen.
Man, you're amazing.
Thanks, brother.
I enjoyed that. I did not, I tell you what, when I wrote my notes, I didn't see it ending there, but I'm so glad that the Lord brought us back to actually what's important, and all the other stuff is incredible. You're great. You're entertaining. You're passionate. You're truthful. And I know that it's only going to get bigger and bigger and bigger for you, and the Lord's going to take you where you can go. If you ever come to Australia, I know there's plans for you to do another comedy tour here soon. We spoke about that recently. Have you got any plans locked in yet? Are you, I can give a shout out to, or not yet?
They put out some feelers to see, because I want to get a venue that's big enough, because I know there's a bunch of Assyrians, Brodie, but it's definitely in the works, and it's not going to take, once I say yes, because again, you know, it's not a 2-day trip. I'm going to have to be gone for at least a week. It's at least 2 days of traveling, right? Yeah. Oh yeah, exactly. 2 days and then another 5 days. But it's definitely going to be happening. I'll definitely let you know. And Brodie, thank you for having me. Again, you always have this, this thought of what something is going to be like. I had no idea it was going to be like this, but I appreciate you. You're a good soul. I hope everything the best for you, for the podcast, for Australia, and everything that Australia has. I hope that they make the right decisions, and God, no matter what you guys go through, you guys come out on top, because it's a beautiful place with beautiful people, and I appreciate you more than you know.
Awesome, thank you. We're going to put Vinny's, obviously, all his handles in the bios, in the links and stuff for the show. Follow him on obviously the PBD podcast, but he's the host of the Unusual Suspects. I'll of course put his social media handles there as well. Bless you, man. Can't wait to do it again sometime. Thank you.
God bless you too, Brodie.